Do you want clients who rave about you to their friends and family and employees who never even think about leaving your firm? Well, in this interview with Joey Coleman, author of Never Lose a Customer Again, you're going to learn the simple, low-effort steps that turn clients into referral machines and employees into diehard advocates. These strategies cost almost nothing, but they'll make your firm untouchable compared to your competitors. Watch now, take notes, and start using the tips in this video before your competition does. All right, so Joey, I have to tell you, in our office, and I wish I had a picture. I don't have a picture. I'm in my home office right now. If you were to walk into our office at our main office, we have a bookshelf very similar to what you have behind you. And on it, you'll see about 50 copies of 4 different books. And one of those books is Never Lose a Customer, How to Never Lose a Customer. And the reason why is because whenever somebody gets hired by our company, that's required reading. We say, okay, first assignment number 1, read this book, right?
Oh, I love it. You're flattering me, Andy. This is so great. So great.
It's true though. Actually, I'm sure our video editor can turn around. He's in the office. He can turn around and take a picture of the
include some photos in the video. I love it.
The other thing is that we don't do this anymore because we found our clients were getting overwhelmed, but we used to send 3 or 4 books to all of our clients. And How to Never Lose a Customer was one of those books that we would send to the clients. Now, we don't do that anymore because they hire us and then we kind of took a page out of your book of, trying to give them a great experience when they're onboarding. But what we actually discovered is we kind of overcorrected and we gave them like 4 or 5 books. So now they have like a homework reading assignment of this big.
Right. I love that you say this, Andy, because so many companies do this.
Yeah.
So many organizations are like, I know we're going to provide a bunch of value by giving you a gigantic homework assignment.
Exactly.
And I understand the intention behind it. And I love the intention behind it. And I love that you also caught, oh, wait a second, this might create more problems than it solves.
Yeah. Exactly. And our clients are lawyers, which you know absolutely nothing about, right?
Nothing at all.
Yeah. Well, actually, why don't you give your background? Because it's funny because like terminology is important. Words are important for lawyers, right? So they're going to say never lose a customer. Well, we don't call them customers. We call them clients.
We call them clients.
Yeah.
Sure.
What is how do you relate to all this? I'll let you explain it.
Yeah. So my career has been crazy eclectic, right? I worked for the United States Secret Service. I was in the White House Office of Counsel to the President. I worked for the CIA. I was a business consultant. I ran an ad agency. I've been a professional speaker for over a decade, probably almost 20 years now. But here's the thing. The thing that is most relevant to the folks listening or watching right now is I am a recovering attorney. All right. I used to be one of you. And I say recovering because there's 12 steps. First step's admitting you have a problem. There's 11 steps after that. But I actually grew up in the business. My dad was a criminal defense lawyer. My first time at counsel's table was in 6th grade. Thankfully, not as a defendant. I was there for the support team. I had built the exhibits out of Legos that were going to be used in the case. So they had brought me in to, see my work being used as an exhibit. And so I'd like to think that I understand how challenging it is to be an attorney. How challenging it is to run a law firm. For context, my law firm and the law firm I worked with my father was similar to, I imagine, the law firms that many folks listening in are running. There were 3 lawyers. There were 2 paralegals. There were 3 support staff who were kind of support team members who, answering phones, sending out interrogatories, doing filings, that kind of thing. And primarily we focused on criminal defense. We did some personal injury. We did some family law, though we tried to limit that to no more than 1 case per year. We did some business law because invariably these things would happen. Occasionally an immigration case would come across our plate or an estates case. But it was, being a lawyer in a small town in northwestern Iowa, and you kind of had your primary areas of focus, but you also did a lot of other things to help people out along the way. So I empathize with that challenge of serving clients and being a lawyer and navigating the judicial system. And to speak directly to your point you made, while my book is called Never Lose a Customer Again, you can swap in the word client and everything applies. The main reason I chose to call it Never Lose a Customer Again instead of Never Lose a Client Again is, respectfully, lawyers are smart enough to know that the words are synonymous. Not every business leader is. So
Yeah.
you all are smart enough to know that what we're about to talk about applies to clients as well.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And not only that, but you also have another book, How to Never Lose an Employee Again.
Correct.
Yeah, and honestly, it's the same. And the reason I bring these both up is because they're so related, right? Because so much of it has to do with human behavior and human psychology, behavioral psychology. But great employees directly lead to great customer experiences. So, can you talk a little bit about that? How does a happy employee result in a happy client? And conversely, if you have a bad employee, what's that potentially going to do to your clients and your referrals and your reviews and all that type of stuff?
Well, I ask before we get into the science and the data supporting it, which I'll get to, let's just talk about our personal experiences as customers, right?
Yeah.
Not even as clients, just as customers. You or I walk into a restaurant and we are gruffly addressed by the host or the hostess. And then we get seated at our table, and the waiter or waitress seems irritated to have to deal with us. Before we have even placed our order, we are presuming that the food is going to taste terrible.
Mm.
We're just presuming that. Why? Because we are in an environment that is screaming, this isn't a good place. This isn't a safe place. This isn't a happy place. This isn't a positive place. This isn't a healthy place. And as a result, our brains tell us, spot the pattern. This is about to get even worse. Our clients are the same way. Our clients, when they interact with our team members, and I always refer to them, I have a tendency to over-index on referring to employees as team members. I think a staff is something you use when you go on a hike, right? It's now, or if you're a wizard, a staff is not a human being. And I think at the end of the day, the analogy we should be looking to is team members, because the goal is to get all the members of our team performing to the top level that they're possible to perform at, running from the same playbook, executing the same plays again and again and again. That's what we're striving for. And when we treat our people like a team, it creates great experiences for them. And then they transmute those positive feelings, those great experiences to the clients that they interact with on our behalf.
Yeah, it's so true. It's funny. I was talking to my wife this morning and I was like, "Hey, what was the name of that receptionist at that doctor you used to go to 10 years ago?" And we both instantly knew exactly who she was talking about. I've been there one time. This girl was so rude, like answered the phone like you were bothering them. And I still remember that. It was a great doctor, but the entire time I was thinking, how many patients or potential patients is this person turning away just because of that exact thing? Like you walk in there and it seems like you're bothering her. You know what I mean? And
absolutely. And it's why I'm a big fan, Andy, of secret shopping your own firm.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody listening, you want a little assignment? Call your own law firm and pretend not to be you, and just see what happens. See how the phone is answered. See how messages are taken. Fill out your own form on a website, put in a dummy email, and see if you get a response. See what happens. The bigger our firms get, the further we get away from the level of care and consideration and focus and intentionality we all had when we first started. See, when we first start as lawyers, I remember this coming out of law school. I go to work at a law firm and I get one client, and then two, and then three, and then five. But it's a small enough number that I knew that client's name, their spouse's name, their kid's name, everything about them. I knew all these details off the top of my head. I didn't even need to go to the file because I was only keeping a handful in my head at the beginning. But when you start representing 40 people or 60 or 80 or 200 or 1,000 or whatever it may be, and you start having other lawyers on your team that are representing people, we get further and further away from the personal connection that we had in the beginning. Everyone listening, everybody watching knows how to do this stuff. It's just been a while since you were probably doing it for a significant part of your day.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is that it's not hard to be that different. it's not that hard to stand out. There's all these little things you can do, like something you always talk about, and something I love is like just the power of a handwritten note, even just writing one handwritten note. So I would love to kind of go through this in two different levels. So first is kind of the employee thing, because that's actually something we talk to lawyers a lot. I mean, employee retention, finding good employees, getting our employees to refer other people that they know are amazing employees to our business because they're confident that their friend is going to have a great experience as well, or their colleague. So what is the low-hanging fruit that nobody seems to do, but everybody can do very easily to really have that wow factor for your employees? Like, what are the principles of keeping an employee, keeping them happy, and making them tell their friends about your business?
Yeah, well, in Never Lose an Employee Again, I detail 8 phases of the employee journey and how you want to pay attention to each phase. But without getting into the nitty gritty of all those details, let's just pull back and look at generally when you go into the office after listening to this. Maybe you're listening to this on the way to the office right now. Maybe you're exercising. Maybe you're doing the dishes at home. Maybe you're in your commute, whatever it may be. When you go into the office next and you interact with your employees, have a substantive interaction. What I mean by that is ask them how their night went, how their weekend went, what they're excited about, what they're doing coming up this weekend, what they're planning for the holidays, whatever it may be. And then genuinely listen. See, one of the things that I don't know about you, Andy, but when I went to law school, we spent a lot more time in classes about talking and writing than we did in classes about listening. I think many lawyers have gotten to the point, and especially the more successful you become, you start to recognize the patterns in your clients, and you hear them telling their story of grief or woe, and you're like, yeah, I know this one. Let's get through this because I got to get to the point where I tell you how much it's going to cost, get you to sign on the dotted line, get your retainer, and get a filing into the court. There's something to be said for the power of listening. There's something to be said for genuinely responding back to what that person shared. And as it relates to an employee context, are you then remembering that? Let me counterbalance 2 different options. This is the difference between having coworkers and colleagues. Okay. In your firm, do you have coworkers or colleagues? The coworker model. Monday morning, I come into the office, I see you, and I say, hey, Andy, how was your weekend? That's a coworker. We're in a colleague model. I come into the office and I say, hey, Andy, how was your niece's birthday? See, the difference is I remembered asking Andy on Friday what he was doing this weekend. Andy said, I'm going to my niece's birthday party. And I remembered it through the weekend to say on Monday, how was the birthday party? And Andy goes, holy cow. How did he does care. He was paying attention. What I find fascinating is if I were to look at the CRM that most law firms use, I can somehow get into your database and I can find your client's name, their spouse's name, depending on the type of law they practice, your children's name, where they live, et cetera, et cetera. I go into most law firms and I ask the partners, so the receptionist at the front desk, are they in a relationship or not? Oh, I don't know. Do they have children? What are their hopes? What are their dreams? What's their favorite author? What's their favorite type of movie to go to? Where do they like to go on vacation? When they're not here, where are they? What are they doing? What are they into? What are their hobbies? We have a tendency as leaders to completely discount the non-work related aspects of our team members because we're so over-focused on their productivity, their performance, what they do for work, that we miss the complete other sphere of their existence, which is who they are outside of work.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point, and it's such an easy thing to do in just listening. I mean, one of my favorite sayings is that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Sometimes I need to remember that, but
we all need to remember that, Andy. We all need to remember that. I join you as I cut you off by talking, right? This is literally the human condition.
Yeah, exactly. So, taking a personal interest is always something that's going to be, a really big deal, and it's going to make people feel very, very special. It's going to make them feel endeared to you. What are some other things that you've seen that really make a big difference that, you know, don't take a huge lift, because most of the stuff, it's more just making an effort than these massive things. It's just doing it really is like 9/10 of the game. So what are some other things that you've seen that make a big difference that really show employees that you care?
I think you bring up an excellent point when you mentioned that, you know, it's not big things, it's little things. I don't know about you, but when I was back in kindergarten, one of my favorite things about kindergarten was show and tell. Did you have
Mm.
show and tell in kindergarten, Andy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most people listening to this podcast experienced show and tell when they were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge most business leaders have, and most law firm leaders and senior partners and founding partners have, is they over index on either the show or the tell
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing both
Mm.
when it comes to employee relationships. Let me give you an example of what that looks like. I show you that I care by paying you a good wage that includes regular bonuses, regular pay increases,
Mm.
regular benefit increases. I'm showing you, but I never say thanks. I never tell you how
Mm-hmm.
much you're valued, but I show you, and I presume you're going to connect the dots to tell. The other type of leader that I see is the one who's always telling and never show. Oh, Andy, man, thank you so much for staying late last night. I'm not going to pay for your Uber home. I'm not going to pay for your dinner. I'm not going to give you a little bonus. I'm not going to say, hey, you stayed late last night. Why don't you go home early today?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you, but I'm not going to show you.
Mm.
I think the charge I would put to everybody joining our conversation today is, are you more of a shower or a teller? And what could you do to do the other half of that equation? Maybe
That's
you're over
interesting.
indexing on showing, start
Yeah.
telling. Maybe you're over indexing on telling. Great. Start showing.
That's so interesting. I've never looked at it that way, but you're right. And I can you know, what's funny is that for me, there's specific employees that I tell, there's specific employees that I show. And it's weird because it's not universal, you know, it's interesting. Yeah.
And let me ask, Andy, did you make a conscious decision? You're going to
No,
be
not at
somebody
all.
I show? No,
Yeah.
part of it is instinctual. Part of it is, oh, my presumptions about what kind of person they are. Part of
Mm-hmm.
it is about our own level of comfort with the person. If
Yeah.
we're really comfortable with someone, chances are good we show and tell. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned your wife earlier. With
Mm-hmm.
spouses, with successful marriages,
Mm-hmm.
most people are showing and telling.
Yeah.
It's not enough just to do the dishes. You need to
Mm-hmm.
say, I love you too.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just take out the trash. You need to say, how was your day? And genuinely want the answer.
Yeah.
Not just,
Yeah.
how was your day? Because I just walked into the house and that's the first thing I'm supposed to say. Right. And so I think when we dig into this stuff, it's not about what are our relationships with our employees or our team members. It's not what are our relationships with our clients or customers. It's about what are our relationships with the other humans we're in relationship with.
Yeah.
How are we looking to deepen those at a personal and emotional level? Because
Yeah.
that, I think, is the core thing that all humans are striving for.
Yeah. And
Personal
it's
and
kind
emotional connection.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a marriage. I mean, where you have to put in some effort. You know, it's not just going to happen. It's and you know, a lot of times I think, and I've fallen into this trap before, where I feel like it's because I pay you, then these certain things are expected, and I don't have to do these things, right? But that's like the bare minimum. That's the employee who's just phoning it in. That's the boss that's just phoning it in. That, you know. Yeah, it's super, super interesting. So transitioning into this right now, we talked about employees, right? It's doing the little things and showing appreciation, telling the appreciation, showing and telling, but customers, clients now, right? Now, there's going to be a lot of practice areas where you don't necessarily, it's not necessarily repeat business. It's not like a restaurant where somebody's going to be getting a divorce every 3 months, but maybe they will. I don't know. But hopefully they're not. Hopefully personal injury attorneys.
There's what we hope, and then there's how humans behave.
Yeah,
when I was a criminal defense lawyer, Andy, I hoped that this was the only time I ever represented them.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, there were a boatload of clients that I represented more than once.
I was talking to a criminal defense attorney the other day. I was like, you know, you should have like one of those punch cards for like when you go to a car wash, the fifth defense is free or something, you know?
Right, exactly. And so here's the thing. There's two pieces of this puzzle. We never know in a lawyer setting, in a law firm setting, it's very difficult to know, especially in the areas of criminal law, family law, personal injury, estate, immigration. Business, I want to carve out a little bit. It's a little bit separate for business. But in those other key areas, it's highly likely that we're going to represent them once and never again. That's the statistical likelihood.
Yeah.
However, if we do our job well and do it right and create the kind of personal and emotional connection that transcends the outcome or the judgment, having them as a lifelong referral partner and an advocate in the marketplace is totally achievable.
Absolutely.
The number of times as a criminal defense lawyer that I helped someone who 10 years later, I'd get a call and I'd be like, how'd you come to know of us? Well, do you remember representing John Smith back in 1982? And I'm thinking, I don't remember what I had for lunch last week. Well, John Smith told me in 1983, if I ever ran into trouble with the law, Joey Coleman was the person to call. And I remembered that. Great. So we never know where the seeds we've planted are going to come back to bear fruit for us.
Yeah.
And that's why I think every client needs to be treated in a remarkable way. Every client needs to be treated well. Now, does every client need to be treated the same? Absolutely not. Oh, hang on a second, folks. You might have been surprised by that one, right? Everyone needs to be treated well, but you can treat some even better than the others. You're going to have clients you love. You're going to have clients that you like, and you want to go above and beyond and do special things for them. Awesome. Do it. But often lawyers and business leaders across industries feel like, well, if I do a handwritten thank you note to that client that I represented on Tuesday, that means I have to write a thank you note to every single client I have. No, you don't. They're not all getting together going, well, did you get a thank you note from Andy? I did. You didn't get one. Oh, he must not like you as much. That's not happening. What we need to do is not let our concerns about how do I scale this stop us from taking the action to do the little thing, to show and tell. I'm a big fan of doing things, intentionally doing things that are not scalable. Intentionally go do things that are not scalable. It'll make you a better human.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, and you know, the best experiences that I've had with clients is when I have done something personal for them. So I'll give you an example. We have a client, he's a huge Tampa Bay Bucks fan. He's had season tickets since like 95, and he always went with his dad. It was like a really special thing, right? So the year after they won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady, we went and we actually got him an autographed Tom Brady helmet and sent it to him. Now, that's a very expensive thing. That's not scalable to all of our clients. It was like a couple $1,000s, but this is a great client and he's been a great friend. He's referred a lot of business to us. And for us, it's like, well, what can we do for him? Because like I could have given him a check for a referral and he would have appreciated it, but that wouldn't have been nearly as meaningful.
But that check would not have sat on his bookshelf. Exactly. And everyone that came into his house or into his office and goes, oh my gosh, where'd you get autographed by Tom Brady? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I got this from my coach. I got this from my lawyer. I got this from the person who said, yeah, it totally changes the conversation. And let's be honest, while I can certainly appreciate the success that Tom Brady and the Bucks had winning that Super Bowl, I am not a huge Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. So you could have gotten that same autographed helmet for me. And while I would have understand the value and appreciated it and probably would have displayed it, it would not have lit me up like it lit up your client. That's the thing about doing things that aren't scalable.
Yeah.
The thing that's going to light up person A is probably not going to be the same thing that lights up person B. And that's okay. But that means you need to work a little harder if you want to light them both up.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So what are some other things? Now, I know that we talk about handwritten notes. We're both fans of giftology. That I've heard you talk about giftology a lot, and I love that philosophy. Actually, one of the things that I do, the biggest thing I took from giftology, which I absolutely love, is if it has my logo on it, it's promotion. If it has your logo or your initials or your name, it's a gift. And that's something that we have taken to heart. And when we send clients things, we always put their logo on it. We always put their name, their initials, and it hits so much differently. You know what I mean? Like people appreciate it so much. It's the same Yeti cup, but it has their name on it. and like just stuff like that. So what other like really cool tips in our last couple minutes here do you have, or like actionable things that people can just take away and like, oh, I can do this right now for my clients? What else do you have?
I love that. And just real briefly on that idea, if you've given a remarkable gift, you don't have to put your name on it for them to remember where they got it.
Exactly. I didn't
That's
write
the
my name next to
underlying
Tom Brady's
philosophy.
name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your name isn't autographed on the helmet either. But I guarantee that guy remembers, oh, this is where I got the helmet. Yeah,
Exactly.
I think there's a couple pieces. You're absolutely right. Giftology and the new book Beyond Giftology by John Ruland, two fantastic books that speak directly to this topic of gifting. Thank you notes, you mentioned handwritten notes, and it doesn't just have to be a thank you, it's just a thinking of you note, right? One of the things that surprises me when I was growing up, my dad and mom had an insurance agent who every time one of us kids was in the local hometown paper for something, our ball team, whatever, anytime it said our names, it would get cut out and mailed to my parents. Cost, reading the local paper every morning, cutting out his client's kid's name. Now, he had to know his clients and his clients' kids, right? Cutting out their names. And then there wouldn't even be a note. Half the time it would just be, his return address, and you'd get the thing and you'd know, oh, yeah, he's paying attention. He's looking to what we're doing. In this day and age, one of my favorite low cost, you can act on tomorrow actions is the gratitude video. Here's how it works. You probably have a phone. You might even be listening to this conversation on your phone. When you're done, open the camera app, switch to video, flip it to selfie mode, and you're going to shoot a 30-second video. And the script is going to go something like this. I was listening to this podcast today, and the crazy guest said, "Who is your favorite client?" And I immediately thought of you. And I thought of you because, and this is where you get to personalize, XYZ. Why are they your favorite? Give me 2 or 3 reasons why they're your favorite client. And then do a heartfelt sign off. And I just thought to myself, I know this. I like to think I show you this. I like to think I tell you this, but maybe I don't enough. I wanted to send this quick little video to make sure you knew.
Yeah.
Stop, go into your text messages, and without watching the video again, text it. Because here's what's going to happen if you watch the video. You're going to go, oh, I didn't like my hair in that. I'm going to reshoot it from this thing. Oh, the lighting wasn't as nice. I was, on the street instead of my beautifully lit home studio. Or, oh, I kind of stumbled on one of the words. No, it's not about it being perfect. It's about it being done and it being real. And so the challenge, the gauntlet that I'll throw down to anybody who's enjoying our conversation is shoot a video, send it out, and then message Andy and tell him how it made you feel. Go to my website, joeycoleman.com, and message me and tell me how it made you feel, what the response was. You could shoot one video like this per day. And some of you are like, I don't like the way I look on video. Fine. Send a text message. Send an impromptu text message while you're sitting in the doctor's office waiting for your appointment, while you're sitting in the courthouse waiting for your turn to go. Send an impromptu message that is not based on a deadline or a timeline, that is not based on a nudge, that is not based on oh, it's a holiday or your birthday, so I better send something, but is rather just I was thinking of you. I saw this and I thought of you. There are probably people listening right now that are fans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It can be as simple as say, hey, I was listening to this podcast today and they were talking about this epic gift. Can you imagine what it would be like to get an autographed helmet with Tom Brady's name on it? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being like, who cares? And 10 being like, oh my God, this gets a place of prominence in my house with pin-lit spotlights on it so that everybody can see it when they walk into the house. What would that do for you? So you don't even have to give the gift. You can just ask. And then by the way, if they tell you it's a 10, go get that next time you want to gift them.
Yeah, exactly. And I can tell you this absolutely works. And it's funny because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's one of my favorite sayings in business is done is better than perfect, right? Because again, it's a small little thing. Everybody's got one of these sitting in their pocket.
Yes.
It costs you zero,
literally
nothing. I don't even think they charge for sending text messages anymore.
No, and you can do it in less than a minute.
Yeah, but I've done this before, and the response that you get from customers and from clients, just the fact that you took the time to, because no, people don't. It's like the value. It's same with the handwritten note. Just people don't do it, right? It's like I always say, prove you're different by actually being different and do something that other people don't do, and that's what people remember you for. It's not these big grand gestures. Like honestly, I you know that helmet was expensive, but if I would have, I mean, I know a lot of other stuff about him. There's things that probably would have been $10 that I could have bought that I could have sent him that would have been just as meaningful, and he would have appreciated it just as much, just because of the fact that it's the thought that counts, right? It's that cliche. Yes. That cliche
but it's
thing,
a cliche
but it's
that's
so
true.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here's the thing. It's not about the expense of the gift. It's about the thoughtfulness of the gift.
Yeah.
It's not about the complexity of the communication. It's about the sincerity of the communication. Like, was it real? Did you do it? And I'll speak to this issue of, don't worry about it being perfect. The research actually shows they looked at videos from a sales point of view to figure out whether videos would convert or not to leading to the sale.
Yeah.
And what the research has shown is the handheld selfie video. It's a little shaky, not the perfect lighting, not even the greatest sound, converts at a higher percentage rate than the filmed in studio with the proper lighting, the proper sound gear, mixed and mastered afterwards. Why? Because humans know the first one is real and the second one feels like a scheme.
Yeah. Even if they can't tell you that, even if they can't tell you why, subconsciously.
Most of them won't be able to, but their brain, and more importantly, their heart, and more importantly, their gut will tell them something's off about this.
Yeah.
Something doesn't sound right. This is the, I think it's on the phrase they use in technology is uncanny valley, right? That when the representation digitally of the thing that is fake being made by AI or on a computer screen looks so real that it starts to look fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when your body goes, I don't like this. Something's wrong. I'm not sure what's wrong, but something's off. Yeah. It's the edges that make it real. It's the little broken piece, the faded paint, the chips, the little things that make somebody go, oh, this has seen some miles. Stop and think about, a leather jacket, right? Are you into the leather jacket that's fresh from the leather store? Or are you into the leather jacket that looks like it's had some oil spilled on it? It's been driven over by a motorcycle. It's, it's been through some stuff. It's got some stories.
Yeah,
it's got some stories to tell. That's a different experience.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, let's lean into the fact that having some stories to tell, having some miles on it is actually a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Joey, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. This was absolutely awesome. And the thing I love is there's stuff that people can literally put down their phone, put down the video, and literally start doing right now, right? So the two books are Never Lose a Customer Again, Never Lose an Employee Again. And I say a lot of things are required reading. These are actually required reading in my company, SMB team. So, well, not the employee one, but definitely the customer one. The employee one, we give that to the managers, right? But honestly, both of them are fantastic books. I've read them both several times and, always grab great stuff out of them. So Joey, thank you so much. Where can people find you if they want to check out more of your stuff?
The best place to find me, Andy, is on my website, joeycoleman.com. That's Joey, like a baby kangaroo or a 5-year-old, Coleman, Coleman, like the camping equipment, but no relation, joeycoleman.com. As you mentioned, the books are called Never Lose a Customer Again and Never Lose an Employee Again. They're available wherever you like to get books in whatever format you like to get books. So you want to listen to me read the story to you? I narrated the audiobooks. You like to highlight on your Kindle? We've got them in ebooks. We've got the hardcover for you to take notes and put on the shelf. There are 46 case studies in Never Lose a Customer Again. There are over 50 case studies in Never Lose an Employee Again. So there's a lot more stories and ideas and things that people can put into practice right away. So I encourage you to check out the books, come over to the website. There's more ideas there. And I just wish everybody who was kind enough to join us for the best of success as you go out and create the kind of remarkable experiences that'll keep your employees engaged and keep your clients coming back for more.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.